Risk assessment is a first step in every risk management framework, standard, and guideline. In this video, we'll discuss how to conduct a comprehensive risk assessment according to one of those standards, ISO 31000, and how SEC collective knowledge can help along the way. ISO 31000 lays out a formal framework and process for risk management that includes guidance on risk assessment. Other rules and standards address risk assessment as well and should be consulted by industry. The ISO 31000 can be broadly applied across industries and risk categories, so it's a good place to start. The risk assessment section we're addressing today is only a portion of the full standard. The first step in risk assessment, and arguably in any decision that will impact the organization, is to establish the internal and external context. Establishing the context means knowing your C4R, as we at the SEC call it, your current conditions, circumstances, culture, and resources. Understand the business you're in, its goals and scope, its geographical footprint, and the policies, regulations, economic drivers, and trends impacting it and its stakeholders. Document the organization's assets, owners of organizational risk, and internal governance structures. The next steps in the assessment process can't be effectively undertaken if context is left unexamined. Identify and describe all the risks that may impact the organization's ability to meet its goals. Speaking to executive leaders about their risk priorities is a critical part of this step, as is speaking to leaders in other functions across the organization. Do not oversimplify this task. Consider natural hazards and man-made threats, malevolent and unwitting actors, internal and external, risks to your documented physical and logical assets, employees and staff, and reputation. Consider socio-political impacts, organization-wide and localized risks, the risks presented by business opportunities. Remember that risk is complex and evolving, and the risk register will need to be regularly updated. Once the risk register is complete, take a deeper dive on each identified risk. How vulnerable is the organization to each risk, and how likely is each to occur? What countermeasures are already in place or could be incorporated to reduce likelihood? What would be the consequences of occurrence, including financial, regulatory, and reputational impact? Developing a scale of likelihood and impact may help in the next step, risk evaluation. Risk evaluation uses the analysis from the previous step to prioritize all cataloged risks. Based on projected impact and likelihood, on which risks does the organization choose to focus its time and resources? In some processes, only risks that score mid to high priority are moved forward into the risk treatment step. At this point, risk owners in the organization can use the risk analysis and evaluation to make their risk treatment decisions for the risks that meet the priority threshold. The risk owners, not necessarily the security function, have the responsibility of deciding whether to transfer, avoid, mitigate, or accept assessed risk. In general, organizations should review their risk assessments at least once a year. Guidelines may require more frequent review depending on industry. It's also wise to conduct a review when regulatory requirements change, after security incidents or crises, or when the organization undergoes structural change. While it seems clear that all risk decisions should be based on a comprehensive assessment process, SLRI research from 2017 showed that while most security leaders surveyed performed some of the elements of risk assessment, several elements went undone or went to other functions. Further research showed that only 25% of respondents' programs were based on the results of formal risk assessment. Are you appropriately assessing risk? If this process seems too daunting or time-consuming, the SEC can help. SEC consultants can help conduct a risk assessment, engage and involve risk stakeholders, make the case for a corporate security role in enterprise-level risk management, and translate the risk assessment into an actionable plan. The SEC offers a multitude of resources to the security community and to Tier 1 clients. Follow the links in the description for more information on risk assessments, including sample templates, heat maps, and more.